guys, so hi everyone. We want to talk to you today about vaccines. So let's start with an example that many of us have heard about before, especially probably our parents and grandparents, and that's polio. Polio is a very infectious disease. It's caused by a virus, and it is also very, very contagious. People become extremely weak, paralyzed, and are often left with very debilitating conditions afterwards. Polio was one of the most highly feared diseases in the 1950s, and it seemed inescapable for parents. They really feared for their children's well-being in their lives as well. Then Jonas Salk came around in the 1950s and created the vaccine for polio, and this completely eradicated polio or eliminated it from the US. And this was a gigantic win for public health. And it also put vaccines in the spotlight for the rest of the 20th century and the 21st century. So let's get into vaccines then.
We've all heard of vaccines, but what really is this thing that we're injecting into our bodies? Well, a vaccine is simply a substance that is given to a person to help them develop immunity to a disease. So immunization itself is the process of becoming immune to a disease. It's incredibly important from a community perspective, and those of us who are vaccinated are actually able to help protect other people in our community that are not vaccinated, and that's a phenomenon called herd immunity. It's something that we all kind of contribute to and experience in different ways.
I'm a mom of two, and I've heard that they put formaldehyde in dead bodies. It's in corpses. Like, why would I ever want formaldehyde in something I'm going to give to my child?
So formaldehyde is in vaccines to actually help kill the viruses and bacteria in those vaccines or deactivate them to make them actually not harmful to us. It's a very important component of vaccination. We've been using formaldehyde for decades, in fact, to make vaccines safer.
So then if the formaldehyde is being used to kill something, the bacteria, the viruses that are in these things that we're giving to our children, doesn't that mean that they're essentially harmful if they're killing other things? Like, how are you sure that it's not going to hurt my child?
It's funny you ask, actually. So formaldehyde is actually a naturally occurring compound. It's found in nature, it's found in your child's body, and in fact, the amount of formaldehyde in a vaccine is, it's significantly less than the amount of formaldehyde that would be naturally occurring in your child's body within their first year of life already. And in addition to that, it's most likely less than the amount of formaldehyde you ingest with your daily food habits every day. So one thing that I think most people don't know is that an average banana has about 2 milligrams of formaldehyde in it.
Shut the front door.
A vaccine has 0.02 milligrams of formaldehyde. So that's about 100 times more formaldehyde in a banana than in a vaccine.
Okay, so I know that aluminum is also in vaccines for, whatever reason. And I also know that aluminum poisoning can cause, brain and bone damage as well. Why is aluminum in vaccines if that could definitely harm my child?
That's a great question. So aluminum is in vaccines because it serves as something called an adjuvant, and what that is basically bolsters your immune response to the vaccine so you're more prepared and ready to go if you ever do see that disease, that virus again. In summary, vaccination is very important. Vaccines help keep us immune to preventable diseases and help ensure a more healthy, safer community.
So vaccines do contain substances that do raise some eyebrows in the community, namely aluminum, mercury, formaldehyde, do cause a lot of concern for parents, vaccinating their children or considering vaccinating their children. However, they are present in very low, small trace amounts in our vaccines, and that's actually much lower than what occurs naturally in our environment, in the food that we eat, or in our bodies as well. Okay, so what do we want you to take away from this video? Firstly, there are lots of people with very serious concerns against vaccines. Their reasoning is not outlandish, it's not stupid, and their fear for their children's safety is very, very real.
Secondly, education and conversation go a long way. There's a lot of public opinions around vaccines that are rooted in myth, but the effects of people not fatalities, the disease outbreaks, those aren't myths. We can't debunk the myths unless we have the conversations. So have the conversations. Listen to people's concerns. If you have differing viewpoints, that's okay. Have the discussion